Next up, we're getting a bit of an update on the Read Alberta eBooks project and the possibility of a shared local ebook collection in BC. And Tami and Diana are going to be sharing that with us. And I have a PowerPoint for Tami's. I don't have a fun fact about Diana, but she works for the Public Library Services branch in Alberta, and Tami does have a fun fact about herself. She says her favorite part of working with the co-op is connecting with people from different communities and being reminded daily of what a wonderfully committed, engaged group of people we have working in libraries. So you guys can come on up.
Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to give you a bit of an update on a project we're working on in Alberta that also has a connection to the BC Libraries Co-op. As was mentioned, my name is Diana Davidson. I'm the Director of the Public Library Service branch, and we are in the Ministry of Municipal Affairs at the provincial government. And we have over 300 public library sites in Alberta, 232 boards that we provide funding to. We regularly consult with our libraries on what kind of projects they'd like the province to see. Libraries like in BC are at the first level of municipal responsibility. So there was a huge diversity in terms of what kind of e-books were available across the province. And when we were consulting with our libraries about what kind of digital content we could provide to them at that province-wide level, there was an identified need for local content and Alberta culture. So we were interested also in acquiring a kind of province-wide ebook collection. Many of our larger libraries and regional library systems already have relationships with certain vendors. Overdrive is the most popular vendor in Alberta. But of course, even though we have an extensive resource sharing network, because those licenses were negotiated individually, it's not truly equitable in that not every Albertan can access all of those collections. So we were interested at the government level in acquiring content for the provinces where it made financial and practical sense to do so. And we wondered if there were alternate ebook models out there that could better meet the needs of libraries, government, and publishers. We conducted some market research. We met with platform vendors and discovered that while some were not interested in changing their business models, others were open to the idea. We realized we were speculating in these conversations about what licensing terms publishers would find acceptable without really knowing or having consulted the publishing industry. So we tried to remedy that by beginning a relationship with the Book Publishers Association of Alberta, initially to provide some guidance and some information, and in terms of what publishers were thinking, what they wanted, how they could better work with libraries, what was vital to them, and if they knew of different models for ebook distribution. So initially, these conversations were friendly, positive. They were very consultative, and they evolved into an incredibly robust partnership. So what we've actually done now is entered into a formal grant funding agreement with the Book Publishers Association of Alberta, and we created our own ebook collection with them that is now available to all of our public libraries. There were some things that were really important for us to negotiate, and it's led to a very innovative arrangement. So the Book Publishers of Alberta, we have negotiated that there will be simultaneous use of the ebooks that are in this collection. Obviously, this is better for library patrons, as they will never have to wait for an electronic book to be quote-unquote returned by another user. It's good for the publishers in the Book Publishers Association of Alberta as well, and they can resell that ebook that has been used the maximum amount of times. We quickly realized after entering into an agreement, a mutually agreed upon set of conditions with the book publishers of Alberta, that we needed a robust platform to make this available and make this seamless. We had to acquire a platform that could host, acquire the content, load the content onto the platform, and manage the ongoing administration. And this because at the government level, when we're purchasing digital resources, we need to follow government procurement. We entered into a complex procurement process. We actually first tried to issue an RFP for a vendor to take on the entire project, just backstepping a little bit. This proved unworkable as we could not practically ensure a successful bidder would acquire content after a contract was awarded with the individual publishing houses. So we broke the project into two parts. We acquired a contract for the platform with DeMarc, and then did the grant to the Book Publishers Association for content to be distributed to publishers who contributed their books. By the end of 2016, we had the Kantuk station, again from the Canadian company DeMarc, in place, and we officially launched with a collection of over 1,100 ebook titles, the largest provincial collection of its kind in Canada. And patrons of every participating public library in our network, which is all but 2 of those over 300 sites in Alberta, can check out Alberta eBooks with no wait. So just to give you some quick summary stats about our project, we were responding to an identified need for local content. So just to be clear, these are not best-selling books, right? These are not the Harry Potters or the 50 Shades of Grey or things that are available on Overdrive. These are titles that are published by 24 different Alberta publishing houses, ranging, our largest is the University of Alberta Press, to a small literary press that maybe publishes 3 or 4 books a year. So it is a very particular kind of collection. The genres, though, include literary fiction, graphic novels, poetry, drama, mystery, memoir, biography, self-help, humor, scholarly titles, obviously, with our post-secondary institution presses, young adult, and speculative fiction, as well as history. This partnership between the government and book publishers gives Alberta readers better access to locally made content, and it's important because it supports this cultural industry in our province. The investment will be ongoing. We made an initial investment to purchase access to the entire collection, and then every year we'll enter into an additional grant agreement with the Book Publishers of Alberta for a smaller amount to make sure new titles are digitally available. Over the past, just as a side note, over the past 15 years, 40% of Alberta's professional book publishers have relocated or sold their assets out of the province or shut down entirely. So we also see this as an investment in that industry because that industry is really important for the growth and health of library collections. We're very happy that Kantuk Station is a Canadian ebook distribution platform as well. Of course, these ebooks can be borrowed by any Alberta Public Library patron with a library card. Each title can be borrowed simultaneously. We have a circulation cap right now of about up to 50 lens, and then we can go back and renegotiate that. But what was interesting too is that, and we're trying to collect some hard statistics on this, but it's been up for about 6 months. We've heard anecdotally from some of our librarians who are really promoting the service that patrons have also been asking for print copies of some of the ebooks that are in the collection if the library doesn't already have it. So that's interesting too because it means that Alberta content is in higher demand because of this initiative. 2 really important points that I'll just close with. Because Alberta is a founding partner of NNELS, the National Network Equitable Library Service, the service that the co-op administers for us, for the funding partners, we felt it was really important to make these ebooks accessible as soon as they were available. So for those of you who may not know, NNELS is a service that converts works into accessible format for people with print disabilities who are using the library. And when we negotiated the terms with the Book Publishers of Alberta of how the e-content would be available through the Kantuk Station, we made sure that all of these titles were available in alternate accessible formats the same day that they were released through the public library Cantor platform. So that was really, really important, and I think for us it was a shift in terms of thinking about how we can make things born accessible, right? It wasn't something that we did 2 years after we launched the project as a kind of side thought, oh yeah, we should make these things available. It was the same day, so that was really, really exciting. As well, it meets one of our goals in helping to promote culture and writing and library use for our Indigenous communities, because so many of the local content titles are either written by First Nations or Métis authors, or as with U of A Press and Athabasca Press, they deal with that local history, which of course is very important right now in conversations about how libraries can be involved in reconciliation. So it's been a very interesting project, and it's been up for about 6 months, and we're hearing lots of great things, and I hope that I can come back next year and share some hard statistics with you about the continued success of the program. Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, thanks. Turn it over to Tami.
Thank you, Diana. That is super inspiring. I'm just going to open up our PowerPoint. It's different on the Mac. Oh, from beginning. That's all. There we go. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. So it was really exciting to hear from Diana, because she's well a year ahead, more than a year ahead of where we're at. I kind of laughed when I looked at this after writing it. It's not really an update on a collection, because there's no collection yet. It's an update on explorations of a possible collection of eBooks within BC. So now I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at my paper. I'll put on my glasses. So in late 2016, we struck an ad hoc committee, and I hope I got everybody's name on here. There's kind of been a little bit of coming and going of members, but I think it was in November we decided to look at ebook platforms. The idea really originated out of a bit of a tipping point. We noticed more and more libraries in BC were starting to launch cloud, Biblioteca Cloud library collections, and looking at other platforms in general, and it really morphed into something else after that. So this was the initial committee that we set up. We've had 3 meetings so far. We started meeting in January, along with a few side meetings on specific topics. So we're currently in the data gathering stage, and our explorations have so far focused around the 4 following areas. So I'll talk about each one in a bit more depth. So there's platform requirements, content and purpose, examples in other jurisdictions, as well as pricing and license models. Let's talk about platform requirements. So our initial discussion, that was kind of where we first started, because that's kind of the meat of everything. There were there's a lot of options out there. We identified particular vendors, like Cloud Library or Cantic Station, which was used in Alberta. There's also Odillo and Biblioboard that offer both as an ebook platform as well as self-publishing options. And we also look at the possibility of creating our own. So we haven't made any decisions on this. We're still, again, in the exploratory phases, but we did identify some key requirements. Actually, Jeff and Dean from Fraser Valley Regional Library made a great list of very detailed requirements, which I won't share here because that would take quite a while, but I pulled out some of the key things that we looked at. So ease of use, obviously, for both the patron and the library. So fairly straightforward, easy for the patron to discover, check out, and manage their ebook checkouts, as well from the library-facing stuff, so statistics gathering, uploading of local content, and so forth. Affordability. Some of these are really obvious. Self-publishing capabilities. So within our discussions, we decided that self-publishing, or the ability to support self-published authors in our communities, is of growing importance. So that's another requirement that we identified, including hosting a number of formats. So we want to have the capability at some point, if we start with eBooks, to also be able to offer video content or audio content at some point. We'd like it to be hosted on Canadian servers, and preferably from a Canadian vendor, but if that's not possible, then to have support and a local content within Canada, as well as billing in Canadian dollars. One of the things that's been really painful with Overdrive, as I'm sure everyone knows, or any of our US vendors that bill in US dollars with an exchange rate lately. If we can get billing in Canadian, it's always better. And some of these, and of course Readers First compliant, and that, I referred to some of the things in there in terms of ease of use for patrons. But there's a lot of detail in the Readers First compliancy. I think it's kind of a key initiative to making sure that the user experience is to snuff. All right, so content and purpose. Okay, so the group also felt that the purpose would not be to replace the existing Overdrive collection. I think the first discussion was like, do we want to port over the Overdrive content to something? And no, that wasn't, that's, the community really doesn't want that, and that makes sense. But we did have to think about how this collection would differ from our existing Overdrive collection. So we identified a few things. That's a lot, so not a replacement for the current Overdrive. Focus on BC created content. Consider non-book content. And self-publishing, and also the possibility of having multilingual content. So we thought, that's a lot. And we wanted to narrow the scope a bit, so we decided to focus on just two. So we've already said it's not a replacement for Overdrive. And multilingual, the door's always open to add multilingual content. And those are the two. Sometimes I try to do really complicated things that seem fun when I'm doing it. I have to talk at the same time. Anyhow, so I think these are the two that we identified as a group that would be within the scope of the existing project. We've also looked at what's going on in other jurisdictions, and as I said, Alberta has been a great model for us to look to. We did have a call with them, and we talked about many of the things that Diana shared with you today. And I think, in terms of limiting the scope to BC, like a lot of the things that Alberta did were quite a bit of an inspiration for us. Douglas County Libraries, so they're known for being pioneers in the world of creating their own platform and negotiating directly with publishers rather than going through a third party. I know that they're now mostly all Overdrive, but I think they did establish a model that is interesting and exciting and definitely something to consider going forward. Khalifa is a library consortium in California. They also have their own platform called Enki. So another example of going out on your own. And we also spoke, actually Lori did, she can probably answer questions about more details about the State Library of New South Wales initiative called Indie Reads. And they are using the Odillo TK platform. And I believe that's also what Vancouver uses, yes. And we'll hear about that, how Vancouver's using it in self-publishing in a bit. Yeah, so and they've decided to focus on local independent publishers as well as self-published authors and multilingual content. So they, I think there's a little bit of growth in the community around the world to start these local content collections. So it's kind of exciting to be thinking about it. Just paying attention to time. how am I doing? All right, I don't have too much to say. So pricing and license models. So we did look at a few different licensing models, and I've listed them all here. I won't go through each one, but there are a lot of options out there. And I think really what we're looking at for our collection is probably a hybrid model where we'll combine a few of these depending on the kind of content and the difference between sort of a high-use bestseller versus something that probably won't circle all that often. They sort of inspire different license models. And we've also had a couple of conversations with the Association of Book Publishers in BC, and they're pretty interested. They're aware of the project in Alberta, and they're kind of excited that we could build a similar partnership. So that's very preliminary conversations, but we are chatting with them. And in terms of next steps, talking to all of you, we do have the ad hoc committee, but I think we need to do some broader consultation. Obviously, deeper discussions with the publishers, and the big question, how do we fund something like this? So that's another conversation we'll have to think about in the coming months. But now that conference season is over, hopefully we'll be able to reconvene and start the course ahead. I can focus on you. Any questions?
Tami, supposing that you did secure funding, what would you see as a launch approximate?
Like, do you mean like in timeline? Oh gosh, we're probably at least a year out. I think we're super preliminary, right? We're not even at the request for information level from vendors yet. But you'll be kept in the loop.